Okay, imagine this. A city, supposedly dripping with wealth, so powerful it thumbed its nose at divine will. Then suddenly, gone. Swallowed by the earth, lost somewhere deep in the Arabian sands. For centuries, people just thought, it was a myth, a legend. But here's where it gets really interesting. NASA satellites actually spotted something weird out in the desert, something hinting at this fabled city. Welcome to our deep dive into the lost city of Ubar, sometimes called the Atlantis of the Sands. Today, we're digging into your sources to unpack the legend, the incredible modern discovery, and what this whole aha moment means for how we look at history, and maybe even other ancient myths.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how this ancient tale, Iram of the Pillars from Islamic tradition, which talks about these magnificent riches, these towering buildings, how it intersects with cutting-edge satellite tech. The legend speaks of the Ad tribe. They supposedly grew arrogant, defied the prophet Hud.
Hud, right. A key figure warning against sort of pride and going too far.
Exactly. And the legend says the punishment was the city just sinking, swallowed by the earth itself.
So, okay, was that just a story, a metaphor to warn people? Or was Iram based on a real place?
Well, the sources suggest it became much more than just a story back in the early 1990s. There was a NASA team, and they were actually looking at ancient trade routes using satellite imaging. Standard stuff, really. But they noticed this strange pattern. Deep wheel tracks, like paths, buried under the sand.
Buried.
Yeah, buried. And they all seem to be leading to, converging on one specific spot, right in the middle of the Rub al Khali.
The empty quarter. Wow.
The largest sand desert in the world, yeah. And these tracks, they clearly hadn't been used for, well, over 1,000 years.
Okay, let's unpack that. So archaeologists get this info. They go dig at this spot in Oman. What did they find?
They hit ruins. The remains of an old fortress.
A fortress out there.
Yeah. Pottery shards everywhere, collapsed foundations made of limestone. Definitely a settlement. And the dating. It was incredibly old. Maybe 2,000 years, perhaps even older. And crucially, the location. It matched descriptions of legendary Ubar that the Bedouin tribes had passed down for generations. They knew that landscape.
But the really shocking part, the thing our sources really hammer home is how they think the city was destroyed. It wasn't just abandoned.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like the city literally fell into a giant sinkhole.
Fell in?
Yeah. Geologists went in, confirmed the ground underneath had just caved in. It swallowed buildings whole.
Just like the legends described, sunk into the earth.
Precisely. Which, of course, raises that big question. Was this really a curse of God, like the story says? Or was it maybe something more, well, earthly? A tragic consequence, maybe, of drawing too much water from underground cisterns, weakening the ground right beneath them until, whoops.
That's incredible. The meeting point of legend and, geology. So even with this amazing discovery, there's still some debate, right? The sources mention archaeologists aren't all agreed. Is it the Ubar of legend, or maybe this other place, Shisur?
That's right. There's definitely a scholarly discussion ongoing. Some argue strongly for it being Ubar. They point to the location, matching the old stories, the Bedouin accounts, and of course the dramatic sinkhole destruction. It just fits the legend so well.
And Shisur, what's the argument there? You mentioned it was important for the frankincense trade.
Yes, and for you listening, frankincense was like ancient gold.
Yeah.
Hugely valuable. Drove massive trade routes. Think of it like oil today, almost. So the argument for Shisur is that it was a known, documented caravan outpost, vital for that trade. It definitely existed and was important. The skeptics say, look, Shisur was real, the sinkhole happened, but connecting it directly to a divine curse in the Ubar legend, well, that's a leap for some.
So maybe the legend and the reality of a place like Shisur got intertwined over time?
That seems very plausible. It might not be in either situation. The legend could easily have attached itself to a real, significant place that met a dramatic end.
Okay, so stepping back, what does all this mean? Ubar, Shisur, whatever we call it precisely. The discovery itself feels huge.
Oh, it is. It really changes our understanding of history in the Arabian Peninsula. It's not just finding a lost city. It shows pretty unequivocally that sophisticated civilization, complex societies, and major trade networks thrive deep within that desert, way beyond just nomadic groups.
It rewrites the map, in a way.
Absolutely. It connects ancient Arabia to the wider world in ways we maybe hadn't fully appreciated.
And maybe the most compelling thought here for you listening is this. If a legend like Ubar, the Atlantis of the Sands, a city literally swallowed by the earth, if that can turn out to have a real basis, proven by science, well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What about other ancient legends, like, say, Atlantis itself? Could they also be based on some forgotten truth? What else is still buried out there?
It's a powerful thought. We're sending probes to Mars, mapping distant galaxies. Yet there's still parts of our own planet, our own history, hiding secrets from us. Ubar was dismissed as pure myth for, over 1,000 years, until technology caught up and showed otherwise. It really forces us to ask, what other legends, what other stories dismissed as fantasy might just be waiting for the right discovery, the right technology to prove them real? What other forgotten truths are out there, just under the surface?